Hello everybody, welcome to APING Altcoins. Today again we're going to be reviewing Ethereum. We're also going to be looking at the ETH BTC ratio. For those of you who don't know, today was the merge, and I think it's really interesting to see how prices reacted to that. It's not maybe what a lot of people would expect. So it may take some time for those fundamentals to actually follow through, and we got to keep in mind the macro economic circumstances, right? ETH is not immune to that, merge or not. Okay, so we'll take a look here. I'm going to there are two areas I will just highlight, then I'm going to kind of clean this chart up a little bit to get a closer look at some things here. I really like this area here. We have our pitch fan, the weekly and the daily here, if we were to get some degree of a move up. And then I also like this 1300 area with the 618, as well as this untapped daily to the downside is another great one as well. Okay, let me just clear out some of these. Just gonna hide some things here. So we know that the 618 is here, so I'm just going to remove that. I'm also going to hide this pitch fan here. So ultimately, like, let's go down to a 4-hour time frame. We can see that price is sort of squeezing between this pitch fan line here and this daily here. That will have to come to a resolution at some point where either we go down or we break up. Okay, so there's a couple other things worth keeping in mind. Ethereum funding rates are extremely low. All right, they're negative. I'm sorry. Funding rates are negative, which means that longs are paying shorts to be open, right? It's a way for the exchanges to encourage more longs to open up in the market. Typically when this happens, it's likely that you'll see some degree of a short squeeze. It doesn't have to happen today, tomorrow, next week, but at some point those shorts will have to be flushed out, typically, like I said, in the form of a short squeeze. Okay, so keeping that in mind, knowing that we can anticipate it, we can look for certain signs that it may be happening, like some bullish divergences and things like that. We can kind of see on the 4-hour here that there is some, small bullish divergence going on here that kind of may have already played out to some degree with this little bit of a pump here, right? It's just something to keep an eye on. Okay. But ultimately, if we were to see, let's say, a 4-hour closure below here, we started to see acceptance and closure below here, especially a daily closure below this level, I would be looking to this weekly as our next area to the downside for support. And if we were to lose that, I would be looking at this at the daily as our next level, right? I think that the daily will be very key in the not too distant future. On the other hand, if we were to, say, create new highs, gain acceptance above here and hold, then I don't see any reason why we couldn't, come up here and tap this daily or possibly this weekly here. There are a couple of things I do want to point out with this. So I am looking for some degree, and I've said this a zillion times, some degree of a bottom formation with BTC to be put in the first week of October, to where we would look for some degree of a really nice long opportunity, right? I think it's a very interesting area for that swing failure pattern on that 17K area, which, by the way, if we were to get that downside on BTC, it's likely we would see that also for ETH. And this area could be the spot where we do see that, right? So we see this intersection here between this pitch fan. We also have the 618 here, this untapped daily. We can see that this area has a lot of confluence and it lines up within that first week of October, right? Just like where we were looking for, on BTC, sort of that bottom. So this area could be kind of where, when BTC goes down to create that swing failure pattern, this area could also be where, Ethereum creates its sort of bottom like that. Okay. In the meantime, if we were to get some more in the near term downside, I would look here first. If we were, again, to get some near term upside, I would look to this area first. Okay. And I think it really comes down to, again, like I said, one of these two levels is going to have to break. If we continue to hold the daily, then we'll break to the upside. If we lose the daily, then we can break to the downside. All right, so that's kind of a key level right now to keep an eye on, right? I want to take a look at, let's check out ETH BTC. I think that this is very interesting. So we're on a daily time frame here. One thing I do want to point out that I thought was very, 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 very interesting, which, you know, people say, you know, was the merge a sell the news event, at least temporarily until the fundamentals kick in. This would suggest that maybe it was. Okay, and here's why. We take a look at this uptrend here in price and look at the downtrend on RSI. Okay, it is ultimately it's bearish divergence. Okay, and I don't think that we've necessarily seen that played out. So I do expect more downside for ETH BTC. We have this untapped daily here. I personally don't think that that's our level to be watching. I think that this area would be our next area of support, and then finally this one. But I do think it would be appropriate to, you know, on the ETH BTC ratio to take out some of these lows here to actually do get this move down like this, you know, maybe take out some of these lows and then reevaluate and go from there, right? I do think that this area would be kind of the next key area of support, right? So this is something really important to keep an eye on. And it's worth noting too, I mean, ETH really had a great rally leading up to the merge here. You know, from its lows, from its lows, you know, that were, I believe, around $700-800, something like that. It, you know, pumped about 140%, you know, or 140%. Meanwhile, BTC pumped about 45%. So we can say that maybe to some degree that merge was priced in with this massive pump here, and now we're going to see some degree of a reversal downwards with ETH, you know, possibly taking out some of these lows that were put in the past. Okay, and you know, we can see a lot of great confluence here with the BTC dominance, being that you know, we had this giant triangle here, we broke out of it, it was a fake out, came back, got acceptance back in, and look at this, we just bounced literally right off the bottom of it, and it was a massive bounce, just straight up. So, you know, I think that given that we can expect maybe a move back up to the top here at the very least, right? Looking sort of to this area at the very least for BTC to kind of get its dominance back up to, I think that it would be a very fair assessment to maybe expect this here, this move down here. Why don't we do this? This will be much easier. We'll go like this. BTC.D. Yep, got it. We'll switch this over to here and go to, on this one we'll go to ETH BTC. So we can sort of take a look here. You know, you can really see the relationship, right? Like, look, boom, look at this inverse relationship between BTC dominance and ETH BTC. And now that we're getting that pump, look at what's happening to ETH here. And not only that, but it has that, you know, it has that bearish divergence coming in here, right? So why not, you know, we see BTC get this move up here and ETH BTC get this move down here, you know, take out these lows, come down here and then reevaluate.